Emily Parker had always believed that honesty was the foundation of love. Her mother used to say, "Truth may hurt for a moment, but lies leave scars forever." Emily carried those words with her through childhood, college, and into her quiet adult life as a librarian in a small town. That was why the lie surprised her, not because it was told to her, but because it was told for her. Every morning, Emily stopped by a small cafe called Blue Haven before work. It wasn't just the coffee that drew her there, it was the warmth of the place, the soft jazz music, and the familiar face behind the counter. Daniel Brooks, the cafe's owner, always greeted her with a gentle smile and a perfectly timed cup of coffee. "You don't even have to ask anymore," he'd say. "One medium latte, no sugar." Emily would laugh. "You remember too much." "Or maybe," Daniel replied once, "I just pay attention." Over time, their small conversations grew longer. They talked about books, dreams, disappointments, and the quiet fear of being alone. Emily liked Daniel's calm nature and the kindness in his eyes. Daniel admired Emily's sincerity and the way she listened as if every word mattered. But Daniel carried a secret. Years ago, he had been engaged to a woman named Laura. She had left him suddenly, taking most of his savings and leaving behind debt and bitterness. Since then, Daniel had rebuilt his life piece by piece. The cafe was his fresh start, yet the pain lingered, and with it, fear of being abandoned again. When Emily once asked him casually, "Have you ever been in love before?" Daniel paused. "Yes," he said after a moment. But he didn't tell her the whole truth. He didn't say how deeply he had loved. He didn't say how broken he had been. Instead, he smiled and added, "It just didn't work out. Nothing dramatic." That was the sweet lie, soft, gentle, and meant to protect. As weeks passed, their bond deepened into something neither of them could deny. One rainy evening, Daniel walked Emily home, holding an umbrella over her head. At her doorstep, the rain pouring down like whispered confessions, he finally said, "Emily, I think I'm falling for you." Her heart raced, but she smiled. "I think I already have." Their relationship blossomed quietly. They cooked dinner together, shared stories late into the night, and found comfort in each other's presence. Emily felt safe with Daniel, safe in a way she never had before. But lies, no matter how sweet, grow heavy with time. One afternoon, Emily visited the cafe earlier than usual. Daniel was out back, and she noticed an old envelope lying open near the counter. She didn't mean to look, but her name wasn't on it. Another woman's name was, Laura Brooks. Inside were legal papers, old letters, and a faded photograph of Daniel smiling beside a woman he once loved. When Daniel returned, Emily was sitting quietly, the envelope untouched, but her expression changed. "Who is Laura?" she asked softly. Daniel froze. The truth rushed to the surface, demanding to be heard. He sat down and told her everything about the engagement, the betrayal, the debt, and the fear that had followed him ever since. "I lied," he said, voice trembling. "Not because I wanted to deceive you, but because I was scared. I didn't want my past to ruin what we were building." Emily listened in silence. When he finished, tears filled her eyes, not of anger, but of disappointment. "You should have trusted me with the truth," she said. "I believe in honesty, even when it's painful." Daniel nodded. "I know, I thought I was protecting you, but I was really protecting myself." That night, Emily went home alone. Days passed without a word between them. The cafe felt colder, the music seemed quieter. Daniel realized that the lie he told to keep love close had pushed it away instead. Finally, he wrote Emily a letter. "Dear Emily, I once thought lies could be kind. I was wrong. Love doesn't need perfection. It needs courage. If you ever find it in your heart to forgive me, I'll spend the rest of my life proving that I choose truth, even when it's hard. Emily read the letter twice, then a third time. She remembered her mother's words, but she also remembered something else. People are imperfect, and love is not about never failing. It's about learning, growing, and choosing better. That evening, Emily walked into Blue Haven. Daniel looked up, surprise and hope mixing in his eyes. "I can't promise I won't get hurt," Emily said, "but I can promise I won't walk away just because the truth is uncomfortable." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "No more lies," he said, "not even sweet ones." Emily smiled gently. "Good, because the truth, when shared with love, is sweeter than any lie." And in that small cafe, under soft lights and honest words, they began again, this time with nothing hidden and everything real. Starting again was not as easy as Emily had imagined. Although she returned to the cafe and forgave Daniel, something invisible now stood between them. It wasn't anger, it was caution. Emily noticed how Daniel paused before answering simple questions, as if carefully choosing every word. Honesty had become his promise, but fear still lived in his silence. Daniel, on the other hand, felt like he was walking on fragile glass. Every smile from Emily felt precious, every quiet moment frightening. He wanted to prove that he had changed, but he didn't know how to erase the doubt he himself had created. One evening, as they closed the cafe together, Emily finally spoke. "Daniel," she said gently, "you don't have to be perfect. I don't need you to guard every word. I just need you to be real." He looked at her, guilt heavy in his eyes. "I'm scared that if I say the wrong thing, you'll leave." Emily sighed. "And I'm scared that if you keep holding back, I won't truly know you." That night, Daniel made a decision. The next Sunday morning, he asked Emily to meet him at the old Riverside Park outside town, a quiet place where time seemed to slow down. When Emily arrived, she found Daniel sitting on a bench, holding a small box. "I'm not proposing," he said quickly, nervous. "Not yet." Emily smiled faintly. "Then what is this?" Daniel opened the box. Inside were old letters, photographs, and documents, everything connected to his past with Laura. "This is my past," he said, "not the edited version, the real one. I want you to know all of it, even the parts that make me look weak." For hours, Daniel spoke. He talked about how deeply he had trusted Laura, how he ignored warning signs, how the betrayal made him doubt his own judgment. He admitted that sometimes, even now, he feared loving too much. Emily listened, her heart aching, not because of jealousy, but because she finally understood the weight Daniel carried. When he finished, he whispered, "That's everything. No sweet lies left." Emily reached for his hand. "Thank you for trusting me with your truth." Something shifted that day. The distance between them slowly faded, replaced by a quieter, stronger bond. Weeks later, Emily faced her own test of honesty. She received an email from a publishing company. A short story she had once submitted, long forgotten, had been selected for publication. The offer included a chance to move to the city and work as an editor. It was her dream, but it also meant leaving the town and Daniel. For days, Emily said nothing. She smiled, laughed, and spent time with Daniel, all while carrying the secret inside her chest. She told herself she was waiting for the right moment. Then she remembered Daniel's words, "No more lies, not even sweet ones." That evening, she told him everything. Daniel was quiet for a long time. "I'm happy for you," he finally said. and he meant it. But happiness didn't erase the fear in his eyes. "You don't have to choose me," he added. "I don't want to be the reason you give up your dream." Emily felt tears rise. "And I don't want to live a dream that costs me the people I love." They stood at a crossroads neither had expected. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He realized something painful but true. Love wasn't about holding on tightly. It was about allowing freedom, even when it hurt. The next morning, he walked Emily to the bus stop. "Go," he said softly. "Chase your dream. If our love is real, distance won't destroy it." Emily hugged him tightly. "This time," she whispered, "we choose truth over fear." As the bus pulled away, both of them wondered the same thing. Was love strong enough to survive honesty and distance? The city welcomed Emily with noise, lights, and endless movement, but it did not welcome her heart. Her new job at the publishing house was everything she had dreamed of. She edited manuscripts, met writers she once admired from afar, and felt proud seeing her name printed inside books. Yet, every success felt slightly incomplete, like a celebration missing one important guest: Daniel. They talked every night at first, long calls filled with laughter, shared memories, and plans for the future. Daniel told her about the cafe, the regular customers who still asked about her, and how he kept her favorite mug on the shelf, untouched. But as weeks turned into months, life grew heavier. Emily's work hours stretched longer. Daniel struggled to manage the cafe alone. Calls became shorter. Messages were delayed. Silence slowly slipped between them, not from anger, but from exhaustion. One night, after a particularly long day, Emily fell asleep without calling. Daniel waited and waited. That old fear, the one he thought he had defeated, returned quietly. Maybe distance is just another way of losing someone, he thought. The next morning, Emily woke to several missed calls and one message. "Are we still okay?" Her heart sank. She called him immediately. "Daniel, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean—" "I know," he interrupted gently. "I just needed to hear your voice." They spoke honestly that night, more honestly than ever before. "I'm scared," Emily admitted. "Not of losing you, but of losing myself trying to be everything at once." Daniel was silent for a moment. Then he said, "And I'm scared of becoming someone who waits instead of lives." That was the first time neither of them knew what the right answer was. A week later, Emily received news that changed everything. Her mother had fallen ill back in their hometown. Nothing life-threatening, but serious enough to need care. Without hesitation, Emily packed her bags. When she arrived, the town felt smaller than before, but warmer, familiar, safe. She didn't tell Daniel right away. Instead, she walked past Blue Haven. The lights were on, the door was open. Daniel was behind the counter. When he looked up and saw her standing there, frozen in the doorway, his breath caught. "Emily?" "I came home," she said softly. He walked around the counter, unsure whether to hug her or keep distance. Emily solved it by stepping forward and wrapping her arms around him. In that moment, everything unsaid seemed to breathe again. Over coffee, Emily told Daniel about her mother, the city, the loneliness, and the constant pull between ambition and love. "I realize something," she said. "Truth doesn't always mean choosing one thing forever. Sometimes it means admitting you don't have all the answers yet." Daniel nodded slowly. "I've been thinking too, about expanding the cafe, opening a second branch, maybe in the city." Emily's eyes widened. "You never told me that." He said, "I was afraid to hope," with a small smile. "Old habit." They laughed, softly, honestly. This time, no promises were made, No dramatic declarations. Just a shared understanding that love didn't need grand gestures, only honesty, patience, and courage. As Emily stood to leave, Daniel said, "You know, our story started with a sweet lie." Emily smiled, "And it's surviving because of a hard truth." Outside, the evening air felt lighter. They didn't know exactly where life would take them next, but for the first time, they were walking forward without hiding anything, together. Life did not suddenly become simple after that evening. Emily stayed in town longer than planned to care for her mother. During those weeks, she and Daniel spent time together slowly, carefully, as if relearning each other. There was no rush, no pressure to define the future in a single conversation. Instead, there were small moments, morning walks, shared meals, and quiet smiles that said more than words ever could. One afternoon, Emily received a call from the publishing house. They wanted her back, not permanently, but on a flexible contract. She could work remotely and visit the city when needed. She smiled as she hung up. That evening, she told Daniel everything, immediately. No hesitation, no fear. "I wanted you to hear it from me first," she said. Daniel looked at her, warmth spreading across his face. "Thank you," he replied. "That means more than the news itself." Inspired by her honesty, Daniel shared his own truth. He had applied for a small business partnership that would allow him to expand Blue Haven without leaving town. It was risky, but for the first time, he wasn't letting fear make his decisions. Weeks later, both opportunities worked out. Emily balanced her writing and editing work between home and city visits. Daniel grew the cafe into a space that hosted book readings, music nights, and community gatherings. Their lives didn't merge perfectly, but they connected deeply, honestly. One quiet evening, Daniel closed the cafe early. Candles flickered on the tables. Emily stood near the window, watching the lights glow outside.